That is some hogwash. A widespread misconception about ML is that models are neutral and objective and just reflect the data fed into them. Modeling choices encode strong assumptions about the data, and further, the way you use your model in your application reflects your understanding of the problem. Absolutely true. This is about that idea of like data ethics in some capacity, right? If you don't have a good grasp of the problem, you're throwing fucking numbers into a machine, like, what do you expect to come out of it? It still is garbage in, garbage out when you're talking about setting up the problem and the methods. You can have the best data in the world, but assuming that your methodology is always good every fucking time, that is some hogwash. Even if the accuracy of your model improves, the ethical concerns and considerations of your model also are at question. The textbook example of this, right, is image recognition of like successful people. You know, so a study out there did like a face recognition. It trained a model, and the model was trained on, you know, pictures of people, and then it was like the job and the salary they had. And they basically were trying to say, like, all right, given like someone's face, can we predict like their income or their job? And it was really accurate. It was like, oh yeah, given all these faces and jobs, we were actually able to have a really accurate model. Well, what did the model actually end up saying? Well, white dudes ended up making more money than basically anyone. And in higher positions, you actually couldn't reach certain thresholds of money because your face didn't look a certain way. Even though the model itself, extremely accurate, the context that it sort of is echoing is just our implicit bias in the hiring realm. The people who are successful are privileged to be successful. And even the machine learning models that are relatively naive to things like HR, people analytics, psychology, industry, and organizational. When you are naive to these things, then you aren't necessarily asking more of these ethical questions. Like, should we develop a model that suggests who should have higher wages or be successful or promoted? But there was this very, very gigantic company that I was going to do an internship with. And the internship was like, we were going to bring X amount of people in the summer to do this like crazy shit. Any of the projects that come out of this internship for you in the summer, like if we like it, then we'll make you a full-time hire whenever you're done with school, right? And so this was like in my last year of grad school. The application was like, if you had access to any of the resources and all this stuff, like how do you implement like your work to like improve how people are working in a workplace environment. I proposed like, hey, this is my research, and I think a way that we would be able to like make people better is for them to just understand what neural efficiency is. Because you don't have to be amazing at a million things. If you're good at one thing, then maybe we should encourage people to like be really good at this one thing. Not only is it good for you because you are comfortable in doing it, but neural efficiency suggests that you actually have a greater alpha power. Alpha in this case is like a resting state. So like as you do something, as you're in the flow, you actually exert this like flow state brainwave, alpha wave, at a greater quantity than you would if you're trying to like struggle through something. They were like, yeah, let's do that, blah, blah, blah. And then they said, all right, this is the project we'd like you to work on for the summer. And then if the project goes well, we'll hire you full time. It's like, okay, cool. What's the project? The project was, I fucking kid you not, this is the project. At people's interviews during coding challenges, they wanted to have me monitor their brain and see who was neurally efficient during the coding challenges in interviews. Ultimately, that was going to be a predictive factor of success at the company. And this is a gigantic company. That is when I turned down the internship. Because ethically, that sounded fucking horrendous. I was like, no, this isn't supposed to be the separating factor. This is supposed to be something that is beneficial to everyone. That is not a factor of their abilities. That could be like a genetic factor. That could be a mental health factor. That could be all these other factors. And like, even though we're measuring what I say we're measuring, taken out of context, that's very dangerous. It's very dangerous to do. You know, the way we use data and we run it through our models and then the application at the end, it can still be very accurate. There are other things that are maybe more important than the accuracy of your model.